Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and it's the final day of 2021. Brand new year, and goodness gracious does this game feel so different compared to what it used to. Let's start right off by the fact that I'm able to switch equipment before I even begin the battle. And when I play the 122 TM, I have two kinds of setups for this new Chinese premium tank destroyer that came out earlier this year. One setup I want to be as consistent as I possibly can, where I elect to not take a gun rammer, but instead I take coated optics, vents, and vertical stabilizers. That's the kind of setup that I'll take on a map like Prokhorovka or Malinovka, where I really feel that my vision is going to be more important, and it's not kind of just a race into position, and then where I hopefully have to be able to grind out my opponents. Alternatively, now I'm using my combat setup on this vehicle, where I have a gun rammer, I have vents, and I have a turbo. This is going to help me to race into position and to actually kind of pump up the worst aspect of the vehicle, which is raw DPM when I'm there. It's always tricky in World of Tanks as to whether you should try and specialize a vehicle to try and amplify its strengths or try to mitigate its weaknesses. But when you've got such a strong contrast of performance in a vehicle such as this, having two setups that is only possible with field mods allows you to really customize your vehicle for two different kinds of maps and two different extremes. This is only something that has been available this year. How absolutely bizarre. If somebody had told me in 2020, next year you're going to be able to customize the equipment that you're able to use actually in the battle, it would have blown my mind. The possibilities are infinite, really, with the kinds of setups that you can have with your different tanks for the different maps to be able to play in your kind of way. The reason why I'm talking about this now, and the reason why I want to highlight this in the video today, is because recently my good buddy Ike started playing World of Tanks a little bit more. Now, I'm not promising he's going to play a lot, but we got talking, okay? We got talking, and he hadn't played for a few years, relatively seriously. And when you're playing World of Tanks and you're in a position, like me, where you're playing it every week, every month, and you know all of the updates as they go into the game, it just feels as if the game slowly changes. You don't actually realize by how much. You don't think that each of the changes are all of that significant. And it's only when somebody, one of your friends, comes back to the game after a few years and they log into the garage and suddenly everything's just completely different, and there's loads of new buttons everywhere, there's loads of new customizations. Even the statistics that you see on the right hand side of your screen inside the garage are completely different now and more accurate than they ever have been in World of Tanks, and you can see how the statistics change as you apply the field mods and you apply all of the different pieces of equipment and all of the different pieces of equipment and all of the different slots and all of the different just customization features. It's absolutely wild how different the game is compared to what it used to be. A lot of you have been seeing that for my recent before it was nerfed videos, where I've shown you, I believe this month I showed you the KV-1S, I've showed you the WT-Alpha 100, and I guess I showed you the VK-2801. It's been an absolute pleasure to produce so many YouTube videos in November and December, and I truly hope that you will feel that the quality of those videos has not dropped. There's no point, in my opinion, of just producing more quantity, well, to increase the quantity that you produce on YouTube if the quality is going to fall in its place. Maybe the YouTube algorithm would appreciate it, you know, coming and delivering you that kind of daily content that I'm sure YouTube is absolutely loving, especially at this time of year. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to produce more videos and to have more time to be able to talk about more of these things. And it's always such a wonderful time of the year as well. The November and December period, we do have a lot of people coming back to World of Tanks. And I just wanted to stop and start to relax a little bit as 2021 winds down. And I wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you out there who have been enjoying my content since I started making YouTube videos in 2012. Just, I don't really stop and say thank you to all of you enough. I really appreciate it. I'm incredibly lucky to be able to do what I do. Hopefully you still see that I'm passionate about the game and passionate about entertainment and passionate about hopefully just helping you maybe occasionally play a vehicle a little bit better. And of course, let me stop myself there and say that it wouldn't be a QuickyBaby video if I didn't highlight just how awesome intuition was in the game right now. In this game, we have changed shells multiple times to either save us credits, not have to fire gold, or to fire high explosive rounds like at the setter early on in the game, where I believe I did 535 damage to that setter, and there to have a high explosive round that would go from being a 50-50 to take out the SU-130 PM to be a guaranteed kill. This reverse speed increase from the turbo is going to allow me to be able to get back possibly quick enough to be able to avoid a shell, but not quite. But definitely the gun rammer and the vents there allowed me to be able to have the reload to just deal with this flank. And there's no doubt that I feel that without the setup, the customized setup that I had on this tank, we would not have been able to win this position as convincingly as we have. The 122 TM is one of those tanks that is just held back by its DPM, but also just blindly increasing its DPM might not possibly be the best way to be impactful in every situation. That's just what's so beautiful about the directives. Not about the directives, sorry, about the field directives, the field customizations, the field modifications to allow you to be able to set up your vehicles. Talking to Ike, and Ike is a big EVE Online player, or at least he was a big EVE Online player, and spoilers, I was a big EVE Online player as well at one point. And for players like us, and I really heard this coming from Ike, as to how exciting it was to have an opportunity to customize your vehicles. And so, one thing I think is very important when I'm talking about World of Tanks is so different in 2021, there are definitely some things that I think are more ugly. I think that the 122 TM, the Skoda T56, those kind of tanks, they're definitely pushing the balance of premium tanks to an extreme, and I think an ugly extreme. But I also think that the field modifications and the customization, especially with the different pieces of equipment that you can have in the garage, have really enabled you to take your game to the next level. Now, before I go on there, and I want to finish that train of thought, that I genuinely do think the game is in the best position it's ever been, outside of arguably kind of the pay to win with the vehicles. This is a moment where I really want to focus in on my gameplay, because we're now in a 1 versus 4 situation. We've only got 396 hit points left, which means that I'm not going to be able to take a shot from the ISU, and also that stun from the artillery is just preventing me from being able to get the rounds into my tank. Now, having missed the Super Hellcat just about 15 seconds ago, I didn't feel like I was confident enough to be able to engage them. But now that the ISU 152 is over there, I'm able to kite the TD and go after the Super Hellcat. And now you're going to see that I make a bit of a misplay. I believe that the ISU 152 was coming after me there, and I am now faffing, and I've got 40 seconds left on the cap. The Super Hellcat puts a shot into me, and in this situation, I just couldn't imagine that I'm ever going to be able to drive from here to here without dying. But in retrospect, you know what I wish I had? Because while I'm under fire from artillery, what you're going to see me do here is guarantee lose the game unless the enemies reset the cap. And what I should have done is taken the risk that maybe the ISU 152K would have bounced, maybe the ISU would have completely messed up the situation, a bit like what they're going to do here. And while you can say, great, I managed to go in and I secure a 7th kill at the end of the game, and we pick up 6,000 damage, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed that as the enemies cap out and they complete, that I let my team down, that I didn't probably risk everything that I had to be able to try and win this one. Undoubtedly, the game-losing moment was when I took a shot at the Super Hellcat and I just didn't quite depress my gun enough. I was under pressure with having the SU-152 aiming up at me, with having the artillery and having the flanking Progetto, and I wanted to try and rush the shot at the Super Hellcat. And that's just where the DPM of the 122 TM really kind of prevents it from becoming that hyper-carry tank. Although, I would argue, the fact that I was able to destroy half of the enemy team and deal 6,000 damage here, yeah, it shows you that it still is pretty much a hyper-carry tank, even in this short 8.5-minute game. So now, I want to finish my trains of thought. I also wanted to get you some at least fairly good gameplay in here, although, unfortunately, it wasn't quite the win that I wanted. So firstly, World of Tanks, it's completely different in 2021 compared to how it's ever been previously. And while I think that there were periods of the game, I'm looking at you 2016, where I think that World of Tanks was truly, arguably at its pinnacle, should we say, time for time. Because obviously the game industry has gone on a lot in 5 years, and while World of Tanks, I would argue, is better now than it was, when we compare it to all of the other titles that are out there as well, is it quite as good as them with regards to the new gameplay or the new systems that they have in place? That's up for debate. I still think that World of Tanks is adding new features in that totally help its active player base. But on the other hand, there's, without a shadow of a doubt, insane requirements if you were to come in now as a new player, or alternatively, if you were a returning player. And I just sat down with Ike and we were having a good chat about this. Ike, as I said, having not played the game for a few years. And he suggested, why, when you log into the game for the first time in a few years, is there not kind of like a video which shows you around the garage? Or why, when you log into the game for the first time in the few years, is there not another tutorial to show you all of the new features? It's almost as if you just go into the game and it's not really truly explained for you. And even though he's played like 10, 20,000 games of World of Tanks, he feels like a complete noob all over again. Which I guess, let me know in the comments if some of you who have recently returned to World of Tanks also feel like, and I guess it comes down to idiots like me on the internet who are trying to be able to get you up to speed. But that's definitely a failing within the game. Considering that World of Tanks has so many people who previously have played it all the way through its 10-year history, it's almost unforgivable that Wargaming are not doing a better job of helping ease those players back into the game when they are undoubtedly trying to encourage them to come and play the game again during this November and December period, with the well-deserved reward, and also undoubtedly with the Holiday Ops event being a very attractive time of the year to come back and play the game. And so if you are a returning player like Ike and you're feeling that kind of a push of confusion, Ike suggested it was kind of like a roulette wheel inside his garage with flashing lights everywhere that was being so confusing. And do let me know in the comments down below what specific aspects have been confusing you about the game as a returning player. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, with that said and done, I want to once again reiterate just how thankful I am. This is going to be the final day of kind of guaranteed daily YouTube videos. I've been doing it for 60 days straight, and I think that I've really enjoyed it, as always, but also I think that one of the reasons why I can enjoy it is because I know that it's going to be that 60-day straight period. And I think that if I was to try and tell you all, I'm going to keep doing daily YouTube videos forever, then I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. I liken it to the fact that there's some kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, and so it's very easy to just be motivated and to keep going and to arguably push yourself a little bit further than you otherwise might want to. Because at the end of the day, one of the reasons why I can put as much energy and time and effort into everything that I do with regards to my content is also because I try to look after myself and look after my friends and family outside of that. And there's no doubt that when I put so much time into the content, as I have done over the last couple of months, that those kind of aspects start to wither. And sometimes you can, if that was to go on for too long, then it's okay if you forget to water the plants for a day or two. But if you keep doing it, and you get what I'm trying to suggest. So while I've still got big plans for World of Tanks content in 2022, I've got a lot of different setups that I want to start grinding towards, especially in January for my tier 10 tanks. And undoubtedly, I do expect there's going to be a lot of new exciting developments inside the game as well. And so I hope all of you stick around with the channel in 2022. And yeah, hopefully enjoy my kind of personal, terrible content. And so I'd like to give a massive thank you to all of you who have been sticking around with the channel, whether you only just found me yesterday or whether you found me in 2012 and you're looking forward to entering that 10-year anniversary in 2022. I've still got a lot left in the tank, and I really appreciate you all. Thank you all very much for all of your comments, all of you're just watching the videos, and just don't forget that while maybe I've put a smile on your face, you've all changed my life. So thank you all very, very much. It's very important around this time of the year to remember what you have to be thankful for, and what I have to be thankful for is all of you, my awesome community. Thank you all very much. And so, while unfortunately we weren't able to take the victory down here, we still get an ace tanker for 1,184 base experience, but keep in mind that that is without courageous resistance on top, which actually means that this was a 1,845 base experience game, including the courageous resistance. And we make, a cool 288,000 credits profit. Not too shabby for our 6,000 damage and our 7 kills. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that is it for 2021. Really hope you enjoyed all of the content this year. If you did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you hated it, however, give it a thumbs down. And stay tuned, as there's a lot more to come in 2022. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.